Good morning, everyone. I'm Andrea Terrell, the CEO and founder of Circante, and I'm thrilled to kick off our second annual ParDreamin event with you all today. As you may know, the first ever ParDreamin was held last year in December 2020, at the height of the pandemic. We created it at Circante once we realized that Dreamforce wasn't going to take place in person. And we created it with a vision of having a place where marketers could come together to network, learn, and grow from each other, a place where we could spend time with our peers, and further kind of our knowledge of all the awesome things happening in the ecosystem. This year's event is bigger and more impactful than ever before. We have over 3,500 marketers from 64 countries this year, which amazes me. We have folks from all stages of their careers, all walks of life, really a diverse group of Pardot trailblazers coming together in one place. We have an action-packed 3 days ahead with new ways to connect, including the Pardot Genius Bar, the ParDreamies, and the VIP After Party. When you're logged into the event portal, I invite you to kind of click around, explore a little bit. We've highlighted all of the most important things to know about on the left-hand bar, navigation bar. So we've called out the things that we don't want you to miss. So take a poke around, explore a little bit, and see all the awesome things that we have planned. And now I want to highlight just a couple of the things that I'm most excited about this year. So the Genius Bar, this is a concept that we borrowed from in-person Dreamforce as well, but it's a spot where you can book one-on-one sessions to consult with a Pardot expert. We've also included a couple of categories to help you get routed to the right expert for whatever it is that you're most interested in working on. The VIP After Party, I'm really excited about this one. It's on Thursday. And it's basically to just let off a little steam. So we're going to be going through a lot of content over the next 3 days. The after party is the opposite of that. It's just for fun. We have a surprise musical guest. I'm really excited for that, so you should check that out. And we also are awarding the ParDreamies at the VIP After Party. So yes, there are ParDreamy awards this year. This is a new component of the event. The award show is going to recognize the best and brightest in marketing automation with nominees across 4 categories that you see on the screen here. We also have a category for best of show that takes all of the entrants across those 4 categories and picks the best example of Pardot prowess that will crown the champion of this year's event. We also have new content this year aimed at helping you find your par people in this big event platform. So we have industry tracks. Today is the day of fins, but each industry track is going to walk through content from subject matter experts in that vertical. We also have birds of a feather roundtables and resources for folks that are looking to find their next gig in the ecosystem. So a little more on the industry tracks. There's financial services, .org, and manufacturing. And each will have 3 or 4 dedicated sessions highlighting subject matter experts from that particular industry. The Birds of a Feather Roundtable discussions, this is another concept that we've borrowed from in-person Dreamforce, but they're interactive events. So we're going to get everybody together in a Zoom room, pose some discussion questions, and then break you into small rooms where you can talk with other folks that are interested in the same things that you are. To make this work, we've limited registration in these to 100 participants in each. So be sure to book a spot in one of these sessions if you'd like to join these. And then lastly, for folks looking for a new gig in the ecosystem or recruiting their next team member, we recently launched the spot for Pardot jobs. So it's jobs.thespotforpardot.com. That you can check it out. And any new jobs that are posted during ParDreaming, we'll also be live posting those to the event portal so that you can get as many eyeballs as possible on your new opportunity. And taking a look at today's agenda, I wanted to highlight a few sessions from our friends at Salesforce. So 3 keynotes today, marketing with good intentions, which is what we're here for right now. Privacy changes in the future of marketing, that's going to be a great one. And then the only session of the entire event that will not be recorded is the Pardot Roadmap. So if you'd like to check that one out, definitely make time to be a part of that one live. So now that you know a little bit about what to expect this week, let's get started with our main keynote, Marketing with Good Intentions. We thought a lot about what we wanted to do to start this event, We had over 200 sessions submitted and a lot of great content to choose from. So we wanted to start today talking not just about what we do or the brass tacks of marketing operations, but really take a step back and look at the why behind what we do every day. We want to talk about something that we're calling good intentions. So let's tee up a quick video to learn more about that.
Every day we set goals to achieve customer success, cases to resolve, opportunities to close, and webinars to deliver. But do you ever take the time to check in with how you want your customer to feel after these calls before you deliver them? That's where Good Intentions comes in. Good Intentions is the practice of setting a desired feeling with your daily goals. Wouldn't it be wonderful if after every call, you and your customer felt good, inspired, and relieved? Well, you can. All you have to do is imagine it. How? Focusing on the feeling you want to create rather than just the goal activates all the great characteristics that help us connect and relate to our customers. Empathy, creativity, strategy, big picture, and possibilities. Just write it down or simply visualize the feeling you wish to achieve. It's that easy to get started. Good intentions. You've set the goal, now set the feeling.
So we've all had those days as marketers where we've said to ourselves, why am I here? Like, is what I'm doing, does it even matter to anybody? And I promise you that it does matter. It matters to your customers, it matters to your colleagues, your family members, probably even people in this community that you haven't even met yet, that you don't know that you're having an impact on. And you can continue to have this impact unconsciously, or you can make a choice as a leader to show up and intentionally lead the change that you want to drive. So I'd invite you to think about with every interaction, what do you want people to know? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to think? And what do you want them to feel coming out of a particular interaction? So put in simple terms, good intentions is the practice of being mindful of the feeling and benefit that you want to achieve with every interaction. So as marketers, we're frequently focused on KPIs and results, looking at what we want to achieve at the end of the day. But this kind of softer side of it gets lost in the shuffle. And being intentional with this is a huge opportunity to level up as a leader and broaden your impact. It reminds me of this quote from Maya Angelou. People don't always remember the specifics of what you do and say, but the feeling that you leave them with matters and it lingers. So at our keynote today, we're going to hear from several people who are really passionate about this. First, we're going to be speaking about good intentions with the person who started the movement, the wonderful Clare Kelly from Ireland. We're going to talk to Meredith Brown, the SVP and GM of Pardot, about her good intentions for the product and how her team thinks about intentionality in the work that they're doing. And then lastly, we're going to be talking to Brian Coles, a longtime Pardot customer and the head of B2B Marketing Advisory at Devoteam. So we're going to get started with Clare. For those of you who haven't met Clare, she's worked on the Pardot team in Ireland for 6 years, and she's shared her passion for compassion across Salesforce, most recently studying compassion at Stanford University. Now she's working on bringing this practice to many, many Salesforce customers and back to where it all started, the Pardot team. Clare also has one of the best accents I've ever heard in my entire life. So Clare, it's really great to have you here.
Thanks for having me here, and hello to all my fellow Pardot trailblazers and any good intenders out there. Nice to be
So Clare, can you tell us how Good Intentions first got started? Where did the concept come from?
Well, yeah, as an Irish person, I can tell a story. So thanks for asking, Andrea. Really, a lot of this comes from the lessons I learned from my own mum. Start by heart in all we do. I think that's where a lot of us get our lessons. I always say in my sessions, like, I haven't invented kindness, but like a true marketer, I've packaged it up into a campaign to get us to package it and think about it. And really where that took me was back in 2014. I was working in an agency, and I was thinking a lot about the customer experience and how people will feel when we interact with them. And really that actually led me to have a dream one night, believe it or not, where I saw that our good intentions go out like into the world, like the code of the universe, you know, like one of my favorite movies, The Matrix. And it's like that feeling goes out, and then we can pick up on it when we receive it, whoever sent it to us, kind of like an API to API call for any geeks out there. um, and I think we all kind of know that a feeling goes with things. Like back in the day in the offices, like you might walk into a room and it could be like, oh, something good happened here, or something not so great. Or even when you open an email, I always think about it in regards to that. You can kind of feel the feeling that goes with an email as well.
I totally agree and can completely relate to that. When I'm on the receiving end of email marketing, sometimes I do wonder about who is the person that sent it. Like if there's a particularly witty subject line or something awesome that you pick up on, you can feel kind of that energy in the email that you're on the receiving end of. So how did you take this idea forward and turn it into a movement?
Yeah, well, I was working in an agency before Salesforce, and this website I was working on with this company called Family Friendly HQ. And what you see is actually one of the very first Good Intentions. And of course, like a marketer and a digital coder, Pardot person, I actually put it in the code. And what I did was I said to the people who were working in this company, the leaders, you know, how does what you do benefit people? And to make that feeling come alive, the best thing that we can do is write a story. So for each section on their site, or think Pardot scoring categories, think about the benefit that someone getting that thing, that product or service will get, and think of like an aspirational story of the best thing that could happen to them. And they loved writing these stories so much that they started to share it with their designers, developers, the sales team, and even in job descriptions. And actually, Olivia, who's the lady that you see quoted here, she rang me up one day a couple of years later, and she told me that one of the stories that they wrote came true. So I don't know if you believe in magic, but I do, because I've seen Good Intentions work for like professional things, but also personal things like this house I'm studying in right now. So yeah, I'm kind of addicted. I guess that's where it started, Andrea.
Amazing, and that's great to hear the story of how you brought this to life at Family Friendly HQ. But from what I understand, that it didn't stop there. It sounds like it's gaining momentum and traction from within Salesforce. So how did you go about incorporating Good Intentions into the work that you're doing over at Salesforce?
Well, we hopefully know that Salesforce have a strong giving back culture. I get to feel that myself, and I thought no better place than to share it. So one night, I all the things happened to me at night time, but one night, kind of like a Jerry Maguire moment, I shared this idea with our executive team, including Mark Benioff and Tony Profit. And I actually got to meet leaders in San Francisco. They loved the idea, and I got to run with it. And since 2018, since then, I've ran over like 60 sessions in Salesforce, and including Pardot teams. And what we do is really to take a moment to visualize and get into the feeling we wish for someone, like basically on the benefit of what we're about to do.
That's awesome. And so for the marketers on the call, we're very busy, have very long to-do lists. If someone's thinking, why should I focus on Good Intentions? What would you tell them about some of the benefits that you see of setting Good Intentions?
Well, Andrea, I think you went back to, you said it earlier in your wonderful opening of this. I think you should become a Good Intender full time. That like sometimes we can wonder, like, does what I do matter? Like, I don't know, hands up. I have that feeling sometimes. And as a life coach, I thought about this a lot. And really the main benefit is in bringing back that meaning like into our day-to-day normal moments, because it's those small moments that help us connect to people and feel the meaning. So we kind of got to bring the people that we're helping closer to ourselves in this very now distant world, even more so at the minute. Yeah, so really these benefits that you see on the screen are from giving back, but this is giving back in like how you do your job, not just outside it. And it feels really good. And I've loads of testimonials from people who say the same. And it actually, because you have a better mood and lower stress levels, you're able to concentrate more on the customer and, like, as a ripple effect, be better at your job. And the business benefits, of course, from, it's like personalization from the heart, really.
So Claire, do you mind if I ask, do you have a good intention for participating in ParDreamin today?
Of course I do. I do it for everything. What you see here is my written good intention. I like to make sure I write it out. And this is for everyone who's on the call right now. I literally went to my favorite place in Ireland, and it's beautiful. You can all have a free invitation to come. But this is where I feel a lot of peace, and my good intention for all of you, even one of you, that if you start to think, oh, I could maybe try that in my next campaign, is that you get to feel the joy and beauty and peace of mind that comes from knowing that what we're doing, these kind moments, like, help someone, but also they help us to feel that connection that we all lack sometimes. So that's my wish for everyone on the call.
Thank you, Claire. And as I also understand it, the Pardot has been working on some good intentions as they continue building the product and looking to optimize it for what B2B marketers need. So here to speak more about that, I'd love to introduce Meredith Brown, the SVP and General Manager of Pardot. So Meredith, as the leader of Salesforce Pardot, I'd love to know what you think of the Good Intentions movement.
Well, first of all, thank you, Andrea, for having us here and for sponsoring this event. Super excited to connect with the Pardot community this week. I love the Good Intentions movement. I think it's super timely. I mean, think about where we are coming out of this pandemic, right? Hopefully we're coming out, we're seeing the light, but you know, over the past year and a half, it was a hard time for our teams, for our customers, for many companies. And you know, one thing that I found meeting with these different companies is that they just needed to pivot. They needed to adapt how they were working. And I think everyone over the last year and a half has been impacted in some way. So I think we need to recognize, you know, where we are in the world and what's going on. For me, right in the height of the pandemic, I spent some time in Washington, D.C. taking care of my nephew because my sister was deployed to the Navajo Nation. She's with the Public Health Service and she was taking care of COVID patients. And so, you know, during that time, my team and myself, we really had to find new ways to collaborate. We needed to focus on what was important to our customers. Everyone had different things going on in their lives. And, you know, I think that was one of the driving forces for the investments that we made during the pandemic. We had to step back and ask ourselves, like, what's really important to marketers right now? What should we be investing in? What are the different types of innovations that we can bring to marketers that are going to really help them humanize their messages, empathize with their companies and their customers, and really build out that empathy? And that's what ultimately drove some of our investments in our new email builder, our new content builders. And so, you know, that was one of the good intentions that was behind those decisions. And, you know, really what it comes down to is marketers are in the business of growing relationships. And so the idea of sending a good intention through Pardot, it's amazing because it offers this deeper level of personalization. It's authenticity, it's human connection. And I really think we have an amazing opportunity to humanize those moments, to be really impactful for marketing teams who are looking to connect with their customers. And I just want to talk a little bit about one of our customers who's using Good Intentions, and that's Be the Match. You might know them for helping cancer patients, blood cancer patients. They help them find suitable donors for those stem cell transplants. And during this time, what they were doing is they were launching these helpful communications with a good intention, looking to reach their network partners. And with that good intention, they were able to make those programs more accessible to transplant patients. And that increased the donations by 123%. And more importantly, it saved a lot of lives. So it's just a really great example of good intentions coming through the platform.
A beautiful example of an organization taking the technology and taking the tools at their disposal and driving a massive social impact with the things that they're doing. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, and you touched on this a little bit, talking about kind of how your teams changed during the pandemic, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how Good Intentions plays into not just outbound communications to customers, but also within an organization. So when B2B marketers are working with other teams and they're looking to drive change, they have to build a lot of bridges with sales, service, IT, and many other departments in the organization. How are you thinking about collaboration and alignment in this new world, and how does Good Intentions kind of fit into that effort?
Yeah, that's such a timely question. I think we've all experienced working in this digital environment, and it's not only impacting how we're marketing our customers, which we just talked about, but how do we align internally? What does that look like to align with our partners, ourselves, and as a leader for the team, we've had to really think about how do we connect as a team? How do we align in this work from anywhere world? And, one of the things that I think has really helped us is thinking about that connection, but building trust. We really needed to focus on building trust with our customers, building trust with partners, and building trust with each other. And, as a product leader, one of the things that I'm super excited about is that we are making collaboration and trust building easier. What we can do with Slack, and this is certainly something that we've leaned into with our own teams, but now bringing it to our customers as well. Pardot automation with Slack, I think that's going to make collaboration and trust building that much easier across marketing teams, sales teams, service teams. And, what I'm really excited about with Slack for go-to-market teams is how do you collaborate? We're in this digital headquarters. We're all around the world. We're trying to connect with each other. And we need to empower teams to build that trust. And it's harder. Sometimes, I think as we've made this transition, sometimes things get lost in translation. But I do think that this is an incredible opportunity to build that trust and build the trust across sales and service teams, and ultimately with the goal of maximizing that revenue.
That's awesome. And speaking of Slack and other product investments, what are some of the good intentions that the product team is building into Pardot or planning to provide for the community?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm super excited you asked about that. This has been a huge year for Pardot. We have released so much new innovation. And, one thing that I'm incredibly proud about is there's a good intention behind every product story. Because, every release that you see, there's a product manager, there's a designer, there's an engineer, and, they have those good intentions. So as they're thinking about, well, what am I releasing? How am I going to do it? What is this going to look like? We're also thinking about, well, is the end user going to feel joy? Are they going to feel empowered? Are they going to feel inspired? Are they going to feel appreciated? And, I think that shows up in a couple of different ways. And I'll highlight a few of those features that come to mind for me. First, it's around extensibility. So Pardot extensibility, it's really, how do you extend the power? Think about adding custom components to your email, like a video. Perhaps you're using Vidyard and you want to embed that into your communications. The way that we think about it is that's really empowering the marketer to showcase the value of their program. Maybe it's helping them get a promotion in their own careers. Maybe it's helping them increase their marketing budget. There's lots of different ways that end user of Pardot's going to benefit in addition to the end user, the customer. The other one is the extensibility in Engagement Studio. programs. And so now you can use external activity, you can use those triggers. So all the data that you're collecting across different third-party systems, use that to personalize your next touch point. And so, the idea there is that we really hope that this next level of personalization is really helping that end customer feel appreciated and feel like the marketer is just speaking to them. And the last thing that I want to call out is account-based strategies and account-based marketing. And this continues to be a big focus for us. And, we hope that it inspires marketers who are maybe just dipping their toes or saying, okay, I want to try some new strategies, some new go-to-market motions. Maybe you're an expert ABM marketer, but there's capabilities like Einstein key account identification. It's taking the legwork out of figuring out which accounts to target. And then we've also added accounts as campaign members, which allows you to take those key accounts and then just add them to a campaign in a few clicks. So just an example of, easy to use, accessible features that we really hope brings the community a lot of joy.
Meredith, I would love to hijack this session and just ask you a million questions about these features because there's a lot of exciting things on the screen here.
There are, and I know we have our roadmap coming up. Since it's been a great year in terms of product releases, so we're super excited to share them all with the community.
Yep, I'm excited to dive into this later in the roadmap session and all throughout this week. So thank you, Meredith. And then the last person that I'd like to introduce today is Brian Coles, who is a longtime Pardot customer and is currently the head of B2B Marketing Advisory over at Devoteam. Brian, thank you for being here, all the way from Denmark.
That's right. Yeah, hello from old, cold Denmark. It's great to be here, Andrea.
Well, I hope it's not too cold today. But Brian, before you were in consulting, I hear through the grapevine that you actually got help from Claire when she was on the Pardot CSM team. So running Ask an Expert sessions when you were first getting started learning Pardot. Could you tell me what you knew about GoodIntentions back then and how it impacted you?
Yeah, it's a great question because it was a long time ago. We have history, me and Claire. We go back a long way. So we're talking years ago, right? So I started as an email marketer many years ago, and at the time I didn't really know how to use marketing automation. We were just using different systems all over the place, and they weren't connected. Anyway, we got Pardot. Didn't know how to use it or how to take advantage of it. So as most new Salesforce customers do, I started working with the Pardot Premier team in EMEA and met the caring and rather brilliant Clare Kelly. The team helped me get the best from Pardot, and they helped me grow as a marketer. But, and it's a big but, they also made me feel very cared for, which is quite a rare thing these days when you're talking to people in this kind of capacity. What I didn't know behind the scenes is that Claire and her team had been setting up GoodIntentions before their engagements, right? Big differentiator there. I didn't know about the GoodIntentions initiative at the time, but I did notice and realize that I was being supported and cared for. Now, I gained a lot of confidence from those sessions with Claire, and this caring attention was a huge contributor in accelerating my career. I mean, you can imagine it, right? If the opposite of that is that you're not cared for and you're spat out, at the end of the phone, at the end of a session, and you get a bit bummed out, right? But anyway, I transitioned from being a fumbling noob to the head of a B2B Marketing Advisory position at a leading consultancy. I've just published a book just come out, just released, days old.
Your cover art, by the way, it's a great looking book.
Thank you. So I just published a book about marketing automation, right? Called Your Marketing Automation Journey and Tales from the Real World. And the journey aspect of the book really refers to the journey that we're all on as Pardot marketers. And Claire and GoodIntentions have been a major supporter in that journey. So I've been seriously affected by GoodIntentions. What I've always loved about GoodIntentions, when I came to hear about it eventually, is that we focus on doing good things for people, right? And when we do that, only good things happen, and that only pays dividends.
That's such a beautiful story, starting from an expert sessions and not knowing anything about Pardot to literally writing the book on marketing automation. That's quite a journey. So can you tell me a little bit more about how you use GoodIntentions today towards good outcomes for the people and teams that you work with?
Yeah, so it's actually kind of a full circle story, really, because I was the beneficiary of Good Intentions. So I believe in it so much that I've taken it on board. It's going to be a chapter in the next book, in the second edition, just on Good Intentions. So I'm paying it forward now. That's essentially what I'm doing. Claire's Good Intentions had such a significant impact. I'm spreading the good intentions to others, essentially. I make it a big part of my work, my daily work, to support and inspire people. And in the book, also, I empower marketers and encourage marketers to be bold and brave, and to make mistakes every day, right? We have to make mistakes as marketers, because that's the only way we learn. But also to encourage them, marketers, to give, pay it forward, punch above your weight, and you're going to surprise yourself. Yeah, and really, I mean, if you told me at the start of my Pardot journey all those years ago that I'd be speaking at the premier Pardot event on the planet, I would have politely told you to go forth and multiply. You know, that just wasn't in my thinking. But I believe I'm living proof. And on the final note, really, on the subject of paying it forward, the book gives to a charity called Calm, which is a campaign against living miserably. So yeah, it just has affected me massively.
Awesome. And I see that Susan Baird from Omaha shared the link in the chat. So check out Brian's book. There's a link right there to go take a peek at that. Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate you talking to us about your story and the journey that you've been on. And thank you to all three of our keynote speakers talking about how they've chosen to be intentional with the impact that they have. So if you're excited about this and if you're feeling like this practice is something that you want to incorporate into your day-to-day as a marketer, I'm going to pass the mic back to Clare Kelly, who's going to tell us a little bit more about how we can go about putting good intentions into action. So over to you, Clare.
Hello again. If you thought you got rid of me, no, I stay around. So a big thanks to Andrea and Meredith. Obviously excited about the Pardot new releases. And also Brian. Obviously myself and Brian go way back with my covert Good Intentions, but and big up to his book. You can see I have it very far in my background, but I'll always support it. And honestly, that's the intention for everybody here, is maybe one day you'll all get to speak at a big event or write a book. So apart from that, you're probably thinking, yeah, Claire, this all sounds great. But how do you actually become a good intender, and what are you talking about? So I want to give you a few tips to get started, and in particular, how you can incorporate it into our favorite tool, Pardot. Because for me, of course, all roads, or should I say journeys, lead back to Pardot. Had to get a Pardot pun in there. So what I'd like to do with everyone today is take you through the main steps that I go through in my workshops. Usually I go a bit deeper into these, and I do have meditations and stuff that you can find later on. But over the next 10 minutes, I want to take you through these 4 main steps, which are focus, intention, implement and express them, and then share. Because what I want to go through is why we should have an intention for today, for walking away from this session today, and to think about what is our good intention as part of ParDreamin. And that's what I'm going to go through. So as I go through these steps, start to think about what is your intention, what feeling will you bring to what you're doing today. So if we go to the first step, is very important, because to move from this mind space, which is trying to do everything, to the heart space that, you know, helps us get into this feeling and connect to people, it's very important to take a moment, focus and relax. And like many other people, I find the most useful way to do that in my day is to focus on my breath. So what I'd like us to do, just even right now, you can close your eyes if you like, is to just take a couple of breaths. I do find it helps to close my eyes, but to bring our intention and our attention to the focus of our breath, just as it moves in and out. No need to force it. Just breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And I do this, you can open your eyes if you like. I do this before meetings, before presentations. It literally can take you 5 seconds. And I also actually write out a little good intention if I don't get time to share it anywhere else. But it's really and what I'd like to acknowledge is that is a moment that we spent in a compassion for ourselves all around the world, which I think is very cool. And then I kind of want to go into the next step, which is about the 2 questions that I use to help set our intention. So I want everyone to think about your role again here at ParDreamin. You've turned up today as an attendee, maybe a speaker later on, or someone, a sponsor, or someone just very passionate about Pardot, like myself. And with that in mind, I want to kind of get into what is your good intention for others, for you being here, but also for yourself and the benefit you will get, and then that will bring to other people. So to help figure that out, these are like my 2 main questions I ask to set an intention. Firstly, what feeling can I leave this person with today? Or what feeling can I bring to the ParDreamin community today and over the next however many sessions I get to go to? As an attendee, it may be your intention to bring your presence and your curiosity. That is kind of a big one that I have, especially when I'm part of something for something else. Then secondly, you want to ask yourself, because you've turned up to this thing or someone's clicked your email, what is the best possible outcome? What ripple effect can that have to benefit a person? So maybe as part of your curiosity of being part of ParDreamin, maybe your presence allows you to take back that learning, like get excited with your team next week. That's a simple one, but to be honest, most of good intentions lead to that moment where we get to share something and get excited about it, especially Pardot. So just to recap, the second question is, what is the ripple effect? And start to create like a persona story about the best thing that can happen because you're part of ParDreamin. So as you're thinking right now, you might have a few ideas as I'm going to go through the next step, which is implementing your good intention. Start to think, you might have a pen and paper or to write it on your computer. Start to think about what is your good intention. If you were to write it out, like my hashtag good intention, you can start to share that in the chat as well as I go along through the next few steps. So now that we've practiced setting a good intention, I wanted to just give you a few ideas as to how do you send it out into the matrix, like I said earlier. And obviously, as someone who loves technology, I thought about how do I build this into the system? As you saw earlier, that was in the code of a website. Now I want to show you how you can implement this in Pardot. So if we go to the next slide, I want you to imagine putting an intention out on a campaign. Hopefully this is familiar to you. This is where I think good intentions can start, because when we think about our campaign and our strategy, you really want to be thinking with the end in mind, what is the benefit that someone's going to get from this? So this welcome journey campaign, it may be that someone feels the support and feels really welcomed after they finish the engagement studio journey. And especially for campaigns, it's really good to align on that. The next thing you can see is, hopefully everyone recognizes this, engagement studio. And here you can share your good intention into the journey description. And if we go a little bit further, you can even get more specific, which I love doing because you can really personalize down to a specific email that you're going to send. And again, you can write it in the description or wherever else in the code as well. So for example, this is a sign up for an event, and you hope that people feel like really excited to meet other people at your welcome event. That's just one example. And then you can even get more specific. like you've seen earlier, I am a bit of a geek. I love putting things in code. This is putting it in the layout template of a landing page or into, you know, an email or anywhere you'd like to put that in there. You can add it in there as well. I just love the idea that it's like in the code, going back to my dream. And yeah, so, and the last step really is to share that intention, because initially I was a wee bit more covert with Brian. Like I didn't share this with customers or people. I was just like hoping that they felt these things. But I realized the power of sharing this with your team, and actually it's great for alignment on your campaigns, on your marketing strategy, in Pardot, in the products that we create. And also, we also do this in our meetings, at the start of our meetings. I do it in my one-to-ones with the people I manage and any big projects that we're doing. And you can put it in images, posters, wherever you like, just go for it. And also, if I don't know if we have any good intentions posted in, you're working on formalizing your good intention, Larry. Very good. Oh, my good intention for ParDreamin is to inspire and motivate. I love it. Can't wait to see you take that back to your team. So I hope that from this you can take away behind this. I just want to go through the steps to setting a good intention again, just to recap. And if we go through, number one, find a quick way of focusing. If you really have a big thing you want to do, I have a longer meditation on my website, which you can share. That takes you through doing this for a promotion or for a big project or just something important to you. The second step is to actually think about those prompts, think about the intention. What is the feeling you want to leave a person with? And what's the best thing that can happen? Allow your mind to just go with, be creative and think about what the best thing can happen. And then the third step, implement. So share that wherever you can in Pardot, in Sales Cloud. And actually, on that note, a wonderful good intenter in Salesforce has created a Good Intentions app exchange, which you'll find information about if you click on that link. You can sign up and I'll let you know when that's launched, along with other great Pardot app exchange things that are out there at the minute. So really, to take it all back to what we're here for, marketing and Pardot, I just challenge you like to think about what you want your customers to feel in your next campaign. And don't worry, I don't get like charge royalties every time you use the hashtag. I wish I did. That'd be kind of cool, but I think it might be a bad intention. Yeah, so I think if you shared the link there. Thanks a million. So yeah, that's me. If you want to do a session with me, just click the link. You can get in touch. So thanks everyone.
I see some good intentions popping into the chat here. Thank you guys for sharing those and keep them coming. I would love to hear more about how people are planning on carrying this forward. We really wanted to set a different tone kicking off the conference this morning. So I hope this session has sparked a new idea for you or has sparked some sort of change that you're going to carry forward from this. I love the concept of good intentions and love seeing heart-led leaders who support empathy and compassion in business. At Sercante, we're always talking about bringing brains, heart, and hustle into every interaction. And this goes hand in hand with that. Because it's never about just what you do. It's also why you do it and being very intentional about the impact that you're looking to make. So as we go forward here this week at ParDreamin, my good intention for the event is to leave the Pardot community feeling engaged, supported, and connected like never before. I don't want the energy to stop when we close our computers on Friday. I want this community to keep showing up for each other and keep backing each other up so that we can all grow together as marketers. To help this community kind of take good intentions and bring those forward into the universe, we've actually built this into the event platform today. So if you go to edit your profile, there's a little space where you can put your good intention and think about it kind of during the week as you're at this event. And then finally, as a marketer, I would be remiss if I didn't leave you with a call to action of some sort. There are a ton of things to take advantage of at this year's ParDreamin, from Genius Bar, Birds of a Feather, VIP After Party, the ParDreamies, industry tracks. So to kind of bring it all together in one spot, we've created the ParDreamin Challenge, which you can see when you're logged into the portal. But it basically kind of gives you a list of missions to go out and take on and gives you points for checking some of these things off of your list. So the top point earners will get lots and lots of swag from our fairy swag mother, Gilda, who will be joining us for the final keynote. So please check it out and have some fun with it. If you'd like to learn more about Good Intentions after this event, this link we just put in the chat, but it's also on the screen here. Claire has kindly shared more resources on her site, and a few of the things that she's talked about are listed on that particular landing page. And then lastly, I'd like to also say thank you to our sponsors. The platforms, vendors, and partners that you see on the screen here are why we're able to offer so much content free of charge to everyone. So please take some time to get familiar with them, check out their booths. These are the supporters that are making this community event happen today. So have an amazing first day of the conference, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on social media, on Twitter, and throughout the sessions today. So have a great week.